fairly high threat density towards the end, but Dr. Boom was just the lights out one. I mean, there was no coming back for Dog after that one.
Yeah,
already used
sure.
both Outdoor Peacekeepers, already used Capable Demonic. Quality was down.
All right, well, Dog, it's hard to tell how these lineups match up against each other. Dog's got some interesting decks here with lots of control. He's got Demon Handlock. He's got what we assumed was Malagos Rogue. Looking at the list that he threw out there, so he's just sort of got what's good. He's got the decks that are probably the strongest right now. He's got Secret Paladin. He's got Control Warrior. He's got Aggro Shaman. These are all decks that are just strong right now.
And that's typically the kind of player he is. He's not very fancy on his lineups. He's just going to play the decks that he has the highest win rates with. It's been very, very successful with him in his career so far. I don't blame anyone for taking that route. And wow, what an opener for Zalay here.
Whew. Yeah, that's what you want. Is you just want minions to fight. You never want to be stuck with a handful of spells early on, and these Leper Gnomes are going to get so much damage, especially since Dog doesn't even have a solid turn 2 play. He doesn't have like a Haunted Creeper. Oh, well, He does have Shielded Minibot. Spoke too soon there.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Dog, I think his plays are pretty much spelled out. I'm sorry for Zalay, I think his plays are fairly spelled out here, though. I mean, this is just going to be a damage push, I imagine.
Yeah.
He knows that Muster for Battle is very likely here, so he's going to eye what the Haunted Creeper looks like. Man, I'm Totem Golem all the way right here. Now, it does affect his curve a little bit, though. If he plays the Totem Golem, he's not getting the Abusive Sergeant on board. So actually, the Haunted Creeper, I think, is a little bit better because of that.
It still means that the minion you're putting on the board is a lot weaker. But it's a possibility. Man, that Shielded Minibot made things so much better, I feel.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this went from Dog just dying early on to what's happening to suddenly have a realistic chance to win this game. And that's a pretty fantastic draw as well.
But what do you go okay, yeah. Knife Juggler, Abusive Sergeant. There is a potential for a board clear here. And protecting the Knife Juggler could be a big deal. Just diversifying your assets.
Oh, well.
That's not where you want it to go.
That's...
Well, I mean...
Sometimes
it's not where you want it to go, but sometimes I think that's where you want it to go. Dog's already at 18 health. He's going to trade this board, but I guess you wanted to preserve that Knife Juggler. And that's the thing that I think Zalay's probably said about the most. And Zalay actually just smiles and shakes it off. One thing to note is the players can actually see each other's reactions. They're actually sort of in the program we use, they're in a sort of room together where they can both just see their cameras side by side. Which is a cool thing. It sort of simulates them being across from each other in like a LAN environment, so they can see each other's reactions. So poker faces matter.
Yep. I love that feel too. I love when I can see my opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Against these two, I would say the facial reactions. They probably have a good control over what's going on. Mm-hmm. Maybe even sending fake signals at times. So I would tend to not pay attention to it. But I've definitely been to some tournaments where against weaker opponents, I pick up on some of the physical movements they make. I could tell when they're uncomfortable about something, and I'll take that opportunity to push the action.
Yeah.
But here, the Crackle is such an undesired play from Zalay because in addition to having the failure rate, he's also like super weak to True Silver Champion now, and he's also pretty weak against Sludge Belcher. And Dog just happens to have both of them.
Yeah, and now he just doesn't have Burn also. So that's going to be his downfall as well.
This is definitely the kind of opening you want if you're Dog. Like, the juggles just went so well for him. And just Aldor Peacekeeper. Doesn't really have to do anything. So save the Sludge Belcher for Doomhammer if you can. It's like such a good follow-up to that play.
Yeah.
And this might just be... this might be face damage and hope at this point.
Yeah, that seems like so many Aggro Shaman games are, face damage and hope. You get to a certain point, like by turn 6, it's like, at this point I just can't trade. So I'm just going face, and I'm hoping.
I do like his trade here, though. Dog at 15. There's still a chance here for this reach to happen. Can't kill the totem this turn. And so the Flame Tongue is, potentially threatening some damage here. But that Sludge Belcher is quickly going to bring that to a halt.
Yeah. And I don't know if Zolay's going to have enough to push through this. This is going to be a lot of health to get through with not very many resources. He's going to have Flame Tongue to sort of trade back here. But
wow.
Ooh.
Dog actually going to go with this, and this opens him to this damage now.
Feral Spirits can also be pretty good. At the very least, it buys time for more burn, I suppose. But Midrange Paladin, you can't really hope that burn's going to stick as much. They have a lot more heals. They have Lay on Hands. They have Anti-Heal Bot. And they do have threats to plot behind those heals. So I still think Dog's in a favorable position. But if Zalay pushes damage now and then draws some burn, he could change. This could change around a little bit.
Yeah, I still think he's debating the trades a bit here. But I don't see them happening. I guess the other option is, do you totem first or totem second? The positioning on those could potentially matter with the Flame Tongue on board.
Yeah. It's a really tough call. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here we go, boys.
Send it up.
Wow. Actually got a trade here. Really interesting.
Especially since that Flame Tongue Totem's looking awfully lonely over there on the far left.
I think it's the new term for isolated buffs like that. Like Direwolf Alpha, he's a lonely Direwolf Alpha.
Yeah.
He needs his pack with him.
Awfully lonely. There's one thing that a Flame Tongue Totem needs in life, and that's a friend to the left. Beyonce knew it well.
I'm thinking of that the Toy Story song.
You got a friend in me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Overload continues to be a little bit of an issue. Not missing too much. I mean, the totems don't really mean that much in this matchup. It's really like get on the ground running, hope that you burn to follow up.
Yeah.
And Zalay's early game got disrupted so hard. And it's really on that shielded minibot that Dog drew. If he didn't draw shielded minibot, I think he was actually in bad shape this game.
Yeah. Because the difference between having to hero power that and having an extra 2/2 on the board to fight against, the extra tokens that were spawning is a pretty big deal, I'd say. So now, what's interesting is that Zalay has a Paladin Shredder in his Aggro Shaman deck. It's good because if you're running the Flame Tongue Totems, because it gives you sort of a more likely to have something on the board for the follow-up turn, but by itself, it doesn't have an immediate impact. It's sort of in a similar vein as Totem Golem, I guess, but it doesn't come out nearly as early.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to make use of what he can, but at the end of the day, I think this one's it's a lost cause. Dog's just got all the answers. Now, I say that, and 2 burn spells can just change everything, but Zalay doesn't strike me as an ancestral knowledge player. Especially when he's got Pilot Shredder. Where does the room come in?
Yeah. Ancestral knowledge is not included in a lot of lists. I think you were maybe one of the players who used to not put it in. I'm not sure if you've changed your ways.
Yeah, I'm pretty much... I've been playing 1 copy recently. I'm not sure how happy I am with it, but Zalay just even going to choose to play the big game hunter here. Run over his punt stuff, and yeah, that's not good enough.
Need a board for that.
It's a lonely, abusive sergeant.
He doesn't care which side his friend's on, though.
That's true.
He'll conform.
Yeah, Dr. Boomman up to the table. 4 swinging across. I think this is a 2-turn closeout here from Dog. Even going to swing with the True Silver Champion here. Plays around Double Crackle. Even though Zalay can't have that. Does play around Lava Burst and Crackle as well. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1 damage off for Dog this turn.
Spell Power Totem plus Lava Burst plus Crackle was a potential lethal. Exactly 13 damage with highest roll Crackle. But, yeah.
Oh.
It's 1 damage off, actually.
Why not?
Yeah, you might as well. You can even get Boombot. You can even get Boombot lethal here. But you lay on hand seems like the right course of action. And even picks up an anti-kill bot. And Delay goes ahead and concedes. And that means the series is all tied up at 1 apiece. We've had some close series today overall. And we'll have to see. Both players taking just wins with their Paladins. That seems to be a trend also throughout the day here. Paladin very successful.
Yeah, it's always pretty much a good tournament deck. You know, it's matchups that it's weak in. It's not too weak in, aside from like maybe Freeze Mage. And then the rest of them, if you just get strong enough draws, Paladin can just win. And that's part of the appeal, I think, to this deck in tournaments is that it doesn't really have too many weak spots, I feel like. You know, if your opponent's going to build an entire lineup for it, especially in a best-of-7 format, that means they need to bring 5 decks that are potentially strong against Paladin. It's really difficult to isolate in most of those situations.
Especially since most decks, it just has that 50% win rate against, at least. Like, it's even or favored against almost everything out there.
Yeah. So it's going to be Zoo versus Control Warrior for